Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the RLSA Today podcast. I'm your host Chase, alongside with my co-host Ashton.
Yo,
Ashton, how you doing?
doing good, doing good. How you doing, man?
Doing all right myself. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about some RLSA and just Rocky League in general. Am I right?
No,
Just
no, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
we're
no.
ready, we're
Of
ready.
course, right, right, of course. But no, we have a good little episode today. Just to kind of give you guys a brief overview, we're gonna have a little season 13 overview. We're talking about some transactions that's happened over the past couple of days, the new rosters that are now official. We'll talk about our own personal power rankings, maybe some MVP and rookie odds, and then obviously our week one predictions, and then that'll be kind of just the episode in general, just to start us off. This is what you can call the preseason episode, so
Mm.
um, it's gonna be a good one. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. If you want to go ahead and get us started into maybe a little bit of just a season 13 overview, Ashton.
Well, it's been a long time since we've had a season. Obviously, there's 3 years in between, so there's like a lot of changes. There's been a few players that have come back, but in general, it's a lot of new players. Like the largest draft class in RLSA history who just got
Right.
drafted this past, uh, was it this past weekend or 2 weekends ago? Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, but either way, a lot of new players coming in. Still the same 12 teams. I think it's going to be a really competitive season, but I think the biggest differences from season 12 to 13, I think the MMR cap is slightly larger, but that goes along with the players just naturally improving over the last 3 years. There's so many grand champs and a couple SSLs in here, so there's a lot of players. Season 13, 6 teams are going to make the playoffs, so it's going to be more of like a traditional, just like there's no upper and lower bracket. It's going to be a traditional 6 team playoff. Top 2 seeds get the bye. So, the regular season has more of an importance now, and then playing well enough to finish one or two to get a bye is super important. Um,
Right.
so I think those are like the main differences going into season 13. Obviously, we have our new website behind the scenes, but that's not going to change the way anything looks on the pitch. I just think it's going to be a really competitive season.
No, I can definitely back that, especially like you said, over the last 3 years, so many players have improved, and only that just only changes the league to get, changes the league stakes, right?
Yeah.
The minimum baseline is now to be grand champ to even be a starter. Now, if you look back in the previous seasons, that's not always been the case, and so,
Mm.
I mean, even like top tier SSLs are now playing with some grand champs. So
Yeah.
just an overall a very competitive season, I can say, and dare I say probably the most even looking um, season we've ever seen. Just because in
Mm-hmm.
the past, there's been a lot of unbalance, probably you could say, with just teams having stacked rosters, and then we're not able to have as much players come in that have that skill.
Yeah.
But that's when the managers did their job well, and now the managers step up again, and they have to make a team that can beat every other team that's just equally a skill. So it's gonna be an interesting season, absolutely. But speaking about what managers have done, there's been some transactions that's happened
There
over these
have.
past couple of days and maybe even weeks, going into just when they were able to start signing players even. And so I'll go ahead and start us off with the biggest one that I think I've
Start with the
seen.
first one, like the let's
The
start
first
let's start with
first
like the
trade.
oldest one. Let's start with the I think we should focus on the
That's right. Yeah.
trades, obviously. Um so yeah, I mean I think the first trade is the Bobcats and Elite trade, right?
Oh yeah, with the moving up into the draft. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've got the
I mean,
picture up here, don't worry. A stream can see the
perfect,
picture, yep.
perfect. Well, I mean, yeah. Talking about that pick, I mean, obviously, the Bobcats were able to do is they were able to get Zev out of that trade, right?
Mhm.
And that also, I mean, from the Bobcats side, they're able to pick up Zev, and then they were able to sign Chris in free agency, and so. Obviously, well executed move. The Bobcats manager, not to name any names, but he knew what he was doing, right? And also to get another draft pick within that trade was huge, huge asset that they were able to pick up. And on the elite side of things, they were able to get their star player, right? Well, it's G from the draft. I mean,
Yeah.
1775 MMR. Like, obviously the elite had their eyes on him, or they would not have made that trade, right? And so,
Yeah.
um, it's just, I mean, overall, just the first trade to start out everything. I mean, it was definitely a good move overall. I think, I mean, I think the Bobcats have set themselves up nice though with that Zev and Chris pairing.
Yeah, I'll just give it from my perspective. Like to me, I had the second overall pick in the draft, and again, this is the strongest draft that we've ever had. And like the elite are getting a, I know it's only a 1775, but he's a former SSL player, or I think he was like right at SSL level, or previously was. Regardless, he's an absolute steal at 2, and I knew that. So in order for me to trade back, I needed some value. So I think it worked out in both ways. Zeb had already requested a trade out, and I was able to trade back. I was able to get Zev. I was able to get a season 14 pick, and the Elite were able to get some value out of an asset that was essentially going to be leaving them regardless. So I think it worked out for both teams. I mean, at least that's how I see it. So I think looking back now, I think I got a little bit more than maybe I needed to, because Zev is like, I think he's a top like 6 or 7 player in the league, at least MMR wise. So I don't know. I feel like it is a trade that I think is going to work out in the end.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's also just nice to know from a manager's point of view, what they're thinking. I mean, it seems like you did what you did, so
Yeah.
you're able to do what you wanted. So that's always nice. But we look into the other trades here. I believe the next one on the list was it the Amigos and Bandits, right?
Let me see. I'm
They
pulling it up right now.
it was
There was like a long stretch without a trade for a little bit, and then
yeah, there was 2 days, no trades
it
of
was the
anything.
Amigos Bandits. That was the next trade, right?
Yep. And so if we see there, the Amigos Bandits, DCXD, his restricted free agent rights were traded to the Bandits, and the Bandits
Mm-hmm.
gave up their original season 14 pick and also their own season 15 pick. So
Yeah.
two very valuable picks from the Bandits to get that 1700 rated player. And I mean. I mean, honestly, this is a trade that we're gonna have to wait out and see how it turns out. Obviously, you can't really say that's a bad or good trade yet, just because we haven't seen anything out of DCXD, right? This is a player who needs to, show what he can do for the Bandits, obviously.
Yeah, I when I looked at this trade, my initial reaction was, "Oh man, like the Amigos absolutely fleeced the Bandits here." But the way I'm looking at it is DCXD is a really solid player. I think he's 1700 is his MMR, and I think to pick up a guy like that, it's not easy to do. The way I thought about it, Chase, is a player who's 1700. I think in your average draft class, he's probably the first overall pick in the draft. Like, to be honest with you. So
No, you're right.
when I'm looking at this, the Amigos, they get a season 14 and season 15 pick. If I'm the Bandits and I feel like in season 14, I'm going to be a competitive team and potentially make the playoffs and make a run, I'm not worried about giving up my season 14 draft pick. And then to me, I think the price comes in with the season 15 pick, because now you don't know what your team is going to look like next season, especially because they only signed him to a 1 season deal. So I think that is the part where it's kind of questionable, where I think in order for the Amigos to get some value back, that's where they needed to get it, was in the season 15 pick. So I think it was a pretty decent trade all around. Now, if the Amigos end up getting, let's say they pick 9th overall with 14 and then like 7th overall with 15, I don't think they're going to be very happy with that trade when it's all said and
No, not at
done.
all.
But in season 15, if the Bandits struggle and the Amigos get a lottery pick, I think they'll be really happy with this trade.
Right. And this trade, honestly, I mean, the core part of it is the Bandits banking on themselves to be good. And I mean, you see that when they drafted Irate, they brought in this teammate. Obviously, you can almost imagine that there's probably some talking from Irate there saying, hey, I need a teammate
Mm-hmm.
that can do this. And so I'm sure that from Irate's perspective, he's happy that he's able to get this player. And I think that's where the Bandits were fine paying the price with the season 15 pick, because they know that they have the confidence in themselves to maybe make a run for the cup. So
Yeah, definitely.
um, good stuff. But moving on to the next trade, probably the biggest one
Oh,
out
for
of
sure.
out of
Yeah.
all of them, probably by a clear margin too, is the Amigos and Eradicators sending Monk, the 2350 rated player, the best player
Mm-hmm.
in the league, sending him over to the Eradicators, and for an exchange of Caleb J, X Jaden, and then they had a season 14 pick swap. So Um, I mean, you're basically if you're the Eradicators, you're all in on Monk, right? You're all
Mm-hmm.
in on Monk. And I mean, what's your thoughts on that trade?
No, I mean you said it right. This is like if you tried to trade for Connor McDavid. You got to give up your whole team. To me, the fact that the Amigos were able to somehow get away with just a pick swap and not have or the Eradicators were able to get away with just a pick swap. To me, I thought for sure a season 15 or 16 pick was also going to be going the way of the Amigos, but I think there was a little bit of that risk that the Eradicators are taking on, where this is truly a gamble. This is if Monk plays the whole season, I think that they could win 8, 9, maybe more games this season. They're going to make the playoffs, definitely be in contention for a top 2 seed, and make a run for the playoffs. I mean, we're talking about an RLCS level player playing, and that was just dealt. I think the Amigos, there's a slight chance that they might regret this because I think they got a solid roster back, and Carson, he knows what he's doing when it comes to building teams. So I think I have a little bit of trust in him that he has a vision, knows what he's doing. But if I'm the Eradicators and I'm Freeze Wave, I think I just took a swing for the fences, and I mean, he's either going to strike out or he's going to hit it yard 460, like right down the center
Right.
field.
Yeah.
I think he's either hit it out of the park or he's going to strike out. And I honestly love that approach because I think a lot of these teams are going to like finish in like the middle of the pack, and none of them are going to be able to actually make a run for the playoffs and for the cup essentially. So I think the Eradicators,
Right.
I like this move.
And the one thing I'd like to add though is the only thing I didn't like out of the Eradicators is the contract that they gave Monk after
True.
trading the whole roster, right? Like you give up your whole roster, you trade away your season 14 pick, right? Or I guess the pick swap, right? But at the end of the day, you only signed Monk to a one season deal. So
Mm-hmm.
this is an interesting play because if you're trading basically a roster that you just put together that's definitely skilled and you're
Yeah.
only signing your franchise player to a one season deal, that's something just to like look at is what are the real thoughts of the Eradicators season 15? Are they maybe trying just to open the door to see Monk doesn't play as many games? Like, is this a chance that yeah they swung and they miss and now that they just move on, right? But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, you look at it like this is like you said an RLCS level player like it's hard to move on like that. And so just maybe just negotiating, looking at it one day at a time, one season at a time, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
of just taking things slow with Monk. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think Carson, like you said, he knows how to build teams. He knows what he's doing. And I think this is
Mm-hmm.
overall just like you said, it comes down to the swing and the miss with Monk.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, both teams are happy with what they did, and I mean you can't complain, right?
Yeah, I
So
think the Erads won. I'm just gonna say I think the Erads won this trade as it stands right now. If at the end of the season Monk only played like 3 or 4 games and the Erads missed the playoffs, of course I'll take that back. But assuming all these players play through their contracts, I think the Eradicators would take one season of being a top team in the league for essentially just a pick swap, and that they can rebuild from there. So I think the
right.
Erads won this trade in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I could honestly, I agree with you. I think right now they do, and especially with that signing of season 6 MVP Echo, right?
The goat,
The
the
goat, shout out
goat,
Echo. Yeah, he's back, and if we could see Echo in the finals again, right? That'd be awesome.
dream
And
come
Monk
true.
is the guy to do that. Monk is the guy to do that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
um, yeah, but moving on now, we going on to our next trade. We had a small little trade that happened between the Fire and the
Hmm.
Riot. The Fire were able to pick up KO and then immediately trade him for a season 15 pick and Sela, but that season 15 pick is also top 4 protected. So
Mm-hmm.
um, that's I mean, if you're from the Riot point of view, obviously you're kind of just taking this player. He's now actually on the starting roster, so the Riot they pick up their second starter and they're able to keep a little bit of that safe. They take the safe route with the pick. Obviously, if things don't turn out great with this team, they have that top 4 projected safe. So
Yeah.
I think Isaac made the right choice in there and making that pick protected.
I mean, of course, you're going to say that because you're the manager. I think the Riot got fleeced
Yeah.
here. And my only basis for that is not based on the assets that were sent back and forth. I don't hate the assets that were sent back and forth, especially because it's a protected pick, I think that mitigates a lot of the risk for the Riot. But this is a free agent signing. Like, KO was a UFA. If you lose the UFA battle and another team signs him, and your immediate response is to go give up a draft pick for that player, I think there's better ways to go about it. Now, maybe Isaac didn't know about that or wasn't paying too much attention, but I think the Fire won this trade by a mile because they created this trade out of thin air, essentially. Like, they got that season 15 protected pick and Celeb out of thin air because of the free agent signing of KO. So maybe for the Riot, that's just the price that they were willing to pay to get a player they really wanted. But when I'm looking at it, KO's MMR is 1525 and Celeb's MMR is 1450. They're not that far off from each other. I know 75 MMR can be a big difference, but I think at that level, it's pretty close. So yes, the Riot do improve. They get a better player. And yes, I think they mitigate some of the risk. So if they have a bad season this season and they end up, let's say they win the draft lottery, they get their pick. And then more than likely in season 16, the Fire are going to have a bad pick. So again, I think the risk is somewhat mitigated, but I do think the Fire won this trade just off of the fact KO was a free agent.
Yeah, and I mean Rex Masterclass. That's all I can say about that trade, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I try to see the positive out of it, but I definitely can agree with you. Yeah, like you said, KO was just an easy free agent signing, and then you're able to turn that into some assets. So, again, good job from the Fire there, and the Riot. I guess they're willing to pay that price, but hey, you never know. This kid, he is 16. He might be able to improve throughout the season, and maybe that's a good trade at the end of the day for them. So it just depends. And then I believe our final and last trade just happened recently. It was the Bobcats and Quantum. They're able to send the Bobcats were able to send Mr. E to Quantum for a season 14 pick and a season 16 pick. And so, I mean, obviously, you're the manager. We'll get your thoughts on that. But just from an outsider view, too, you can. I mean, in my opinion, I think this is a perfect trade for Quantum. And the reason why I think that is because Quantum, they're able to pick up your boy Derp in the draft, right? 1,600 MMR player. And then you're also able to get Mr. E, who's also a rookie, for, again, your season 14 pick and your season 16 pick. But, again, throw season 14 out the window. If you think you're able to compete as Quantum, go ahead and trade that asset away. That is what you need. And Mr. E is no player to laugh about. I mean, he's 1675 MMR. So, I mean, at the end of the day, he's a good player. And, I mean, for Quantum, that season 16 pick may come and bite them, but at the end of the day, I think it's a good trade for them.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, Mr. E is a player. I drafted him at 6th overall, knowing full well that I had my pieces already put together, and I had a feeling that he wasn't going to want to be a sub, and I talked to him, and of course that was the case. This is a 1675 we're talking about here. That's not just a starter. He's a captain of the Quantum. It would be just wrong for me to leave him as our third. So to me, I think I didn't have as much leverage on this trade just because people knew that I had to get rid of him essentially. But in talking to 3 different teams, the price point was around 2 draft picks, and some of them were like conditional picks in the teams that I talked to, and I kind of just wanted some straight up picks, and I wanted to have a pick currently, so a season 14 pick, and then I want to pick down the road too, because this is a 6 overall selection that we got. And to be honest with you, Chase, when I was sitting there on the clock at 6 overall and I saw Mr. E, I was kind of shocked. I thought
Me too.
I thought Apple was going to fall to me at 1,600. It's a 75 MMR difference, which is it's pretty substantial, at least from a rookie perspective. So, I was surprised to see him there. So basically, it was just almost like how you did, just creating assets out of what originally was the number 2 overall pick for me. So that's my perspective from this.
And I think that just goes along to showing that it was a good decision to move down in the draft because, again, you were handed that player at 6. And I feel like if you're the Landers, I feel like you should have obviously traded back from the number 3 spot. You could have gotten Trizzy way,
Yeah,
way
100%.
southern in the draft, and
Yeah.
and I feel like I mean, hey, I mean, I'm not the manager of that team, so I can't say nothing. But at the end of the day, the Bobcats will be a good team for the next couple of years. With all the draft picks that you have acquired,
Hmm.
and you know, you can create anything. It doesn't even have to be draft picks. Obviously, you can use that in a trade.
Yeah.
Maybe we see Monk go to the Bobcats
Hold up now.
for like 5
For
draft
like a
picks
million
and
draft
some
picks,
2
yeah.
starters. Yeah, but at the end of the day, some solid trades that we've seen throughout the couple of days that managers have been
Hmm.
active, and
Yeah.
I mean, only more to come, right?
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
as it stands right now, those are the official trades. So, um, I mean, moving along now, I guess after kind of seeing all the trades happen, now we can actually talk about the rosters. Quick brief preview of the rosters. I mean, any rosters that really stand out to you?
Um, I think for me, let's see. I thought we were gonna go in order, not gonna lie, but
Is
um,
that not in order?
oh, we can go in order. I think you asked for one that
Uh,
stood out.
I guess yeah. We can go in order. That's fine. Let's do it. Let's do it in order. Let's do it in order.
Yeah. So I mean, well, I guess we can start off with I think we got to go through them pretty quickly, but I think looking at
Yeah,
the
yeah, absolutely.
Amigos right away here. First off, I see a 1700 and a 1625, and they're about 175 mmR short of the cap. I don't think that's bad at all. I think again these are players. The season's 3 months long. There's going to be some growth, and then I like the backup, Pure Motives. That's a guy in just limited exposure to him, very positive, great mentality. So I think to have him as your sub, I think he's a guy who could eventually grow into something that helps your team out even more. But as far
Absolutely.
as Jaden and Caleb J, I think to my knowledge they like playing together, and I think this is a pretty decent team. I don't think this is a world class like top cup contender team. I would love to be proven wrong, but I think this is a solid team. At least that's my opinion. Yeah.
I can agree with you. I can agree with you. Well said. And then we look at the Bandits now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you see Irate and DCXD, obviously the trade that happened. I mean, again, 2 solid 1700 players.
Yeah.
This puts them 100 MMR under the cap, and then obviously the Honor Knight as their sub. So obviously, maybe the depth is a bit of a question, I would say, for the Bandits. But at the end of the day, like you said, I mean, we've known Honor Knight. He's been in the league for a little bit now. I think about 1 or 2 seasons, and so we know. I mean, the Honor Knight, he's a good guy. You know, he obviously has had some experience in the RLSA, and so with 2 rookies on the team, I feel like Nick was able to acquire some a solid baseline as a team. Obviously,
Yeah.
both rookies, but with the Honor Knight being the sub, I feel like you get a little bit of experience and maybe can help with the Bandits. So obviously, um, the Bandits still need to prove what they need to do, obviously with the new players. But at the end of the day, I feel like they have a solid squad.
Yeah, definitely. I would say I think this is a more competitive team than the Amigos because you have two 1700s. If one of them has an off day, their off day is probably going to be about as good as a 1600s good day. So
Right? Yeah.
I think two 1700s is a very competitive roster. My only question is the experience here. I think this is something we're going to talk about a lot with these rosters is inexperience. And I think that the experienced players and rosters are going to shine through better than a team made up
Absolutely.
of 2 rookies. So
Absolutely. I agree. And then now, I mean, looking at the Bobcats, this is I think the one that is probably going to be talked about the most. Obviously, Chris and Zev, both veterans in this league, so obviously they have that experience, but they're also 1725 and 1750, so they're only 25 MMR under the cap, which is, I mean, basically there, right? And so I mean, just as a starting roster, this looks like the strongest out of every single team, and then you obviously have Razor as your backup, who's a very solid backup. Obviously, a rookie, but again, he fell into the hands of the Bobcats
can't let that
that
happen.
were in the free agency. And so just again, like Razor, he's 1475, but don't keep in mind that his peak has been around the 1600 MMR rank. So this Bobcats team looks very, very competitive. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you're a manager,
I
so
don't,
you
I
have
don't
some
know.
bias
I don't
there.
know. I'm supposed to say
But
I guess I'll say I'm really happy with the team. I'm really excited to see them play. I think there's a level of experience. I wouldn't say they're super experienced because they've only played a couple seasons, but essentially, I think that um, this team, it has the talent, it has the experience, um, and then hopefully with me, it has the coaching or whatever they need me to be able to push them to the next level. So, I'm just
yeah,
excited about this roster.
well said. Sorry, I can't stop laughing looking at our next team,
The
the
defenders.
defenders.
So if you're not looking with us, the defenders, if you go to the teams tab on the website, the defenders currently have nobody signed. They don't have a single soul. They have one RFA. It's janky, and yeah. So that's we'll have to come back to the defenders at some point. We'll see next week how we feel.
You gotta continue on, dude.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
okay,
killing
Chase.
me.
It's all right. I'll
I'm sorry.
continue on.
I don't know why it's so funny. It's just, we're about to start the season. We got nobody signed.
Real.
Let's go, defenders. What are we doing? Yeah.
I know. I don't know, man. But
But
either way, we got the elite. We'll talk about the elite. This is a team that does have their roster together, their starters. What's G and under? So again, to talk about What's G, really talented player. I think he's even better than his 1775 MMR says. Yeah, this is a guy who I think he's been playing a decent bit. I think he's got that upside. And the guy with him under is an experienced veteran player who's coming back with the elite. And he's 1625. That's pretty solid, which puts them just 100 MMR under the cap. So I like this elite team. I think that they're going to be competitive. I think they're going to be a playoff competing team, potentially could make a run. I think it depends how the season progresses, how What's G moves forward. If under can take a next step, I'd love to see some more depth there, maybe find a backup. I think Alex is working on that, but overall, I think this is one of the better rosters in the league. I think it just depends on how What's G executes out there as a rookie.
I can agree. And also, I would dare I say maybe one of my favorite signings out of every team this offseason, or I guess you can say this free agency run, was under. I think under, like you said, he's got the experience, but I just think he's a really solid player at the value of 1625.
100%.
He proves that he shows up in the playoffs too, and his consistency can help What's G, obviously, just as playing that role player for him. So moving on to the Eradicators. Obviously, we already went in depth a little bit, but this is a team that, yeah, on paper, maybe like 125 off the MMR cap, but at the end of the day, you have an RLCS level player. And then also joined alongside him, the
Former
season 6
league
MVP Echo. So, really, really solid team. And not to mention, we have the backup costs there. Now, this guy definitely could be seeing some daylight if Monk is not able to play. And
Yeah.
And this is where I think maybe the Eradicators could have done like something. If you're going all in for Monk, maybe you try and find a little bit better of a backup. But at the end of the day, you have a 1500 MR player that's he's got to be on his toes, ready to go whenever.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit. I think costs is going to get moved. I think you got to move on from costs if you're going to go the Monk route. I think if you're the Eradicators GM, you sit down, you talk with Monk, you lay it out there. Like, are you going to play? How often are you going to play? If Monk is committed to this season, you got to move costs. I think you need to get some draft capital back because they did the pick swap. And here's the thing with the pick swap is I think it's bad for them in the sense if Monk doesn't play, you think, oh, okay, let me just throw Echo in there and someone else and we'll tank and we'll probably have a top 2 pick in the draft. Not anymore. That's the Amigos pick. So I think they need to try their best to be competitive. I don't think it's necessarily fair to cost to be the backup in this situation because if Monk plays the whole season, he's physically based on the cap, cannot see the field. So I think the Eradicators, I think they need to move on from costs. If they do end up keeping him, I think that that's a very significant sign to say Monk is not entirely available.
Right. No, absolutely well said. And then next, I mean, you can go
I'll
ahead
start
and
with the
go into the
fire.
fire.
Yeah. So okay. So this is the same situation as the Eradicators, right? When Monk's on your team, you're always going to be a good team. You're always going to be competitive. When Chase is on your team, you're always going to be a good team. You're going to be competitive. He could be out there on a 2v1, either Chase or Monk. It doesn't matter. They're going to be a really competitive team. That's why we have the MMR cap. And the Fire have done an excellent job of trying to push it to the cap limits. Even if Salib comes in, that pushes it in 50 even further. It puts him within 25 of the cap. So I think the more that you can push it and find a teammate that has proper chemistry with Chase, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are like hitting passing plays. That means he's not stealing your boost, he's not bumping you, he's not getting in your way. But he's supporting you. He's playing good defense. He's scoring when he needs to. He's making good passes. He's reliable. That's the kind of teammate that Chase or Monk needs. They need someone who's consistent and can just get the job done. So to me, Fire, great roster just because Chase is on there, and I think they have two solid options for him to play with.
That's true. Not to mention, just right before this podcast too, Fire were able to sign another player, which actually, funny enough, is their highest MMR player out of all the options that could be starting. They just signed a player, I believe Juanito. So his MMR is going to be 1475. So again, if Juanito was to be the starter over Gara at the moment, we could see a potential full maxed out 3500 MMR cap. So like I said, from my perspective as the player, obviously I'm not the one making the moves, the manager is, and I feel like Rex has done an absolute fantastic job finding those options and being able just to say that you can max out the MMR cap means you're doing your job right. And I feel
100%.
like Rex needs props for that, but at the end of the day, yeah,
Holy
shout out
Glaze.
Rex. Yeah, right. No, but at the end of the day, I mean, we drafted the player that we felt most comfortable with, and we took a shot on Gara, and so
yeah.
Well,
I think that does raise the question though, because now they're going to have to leave one of those three in the reserve spot, which is open to be claimed by another team. So I think it gets interesting. Which of the three is going to be someone that they leave out in the open? Is it the guy you trade KO for? Is it the guy you took in the draft? Is it the guy you just signed in free agency? So one of these three is going to have to be left exposed to potentially be snagged. So I think Chase and Rex, that you guys have a very important assignment of making sure that the right two players are protected on your roster.
Before the defenders come and grab their first
They probably will. I'm gonna be honest. It's either defenders, maybe elite. Any team that needs a third is gonna come in and snag them.
Right. Well, moving on, we have the Landers next up, and this is a team that actually I found really interesting. They made the first two signings in this league for this season, and that was the captain Zach, and then you have the starter Psycho, and when we look at Zach's MMR, he's 1850, so this is a guy who's borderline SSL,
yep.
And then also Psycho, who's 1550. So there was a clear understanding here that when they were first two signed, we knew that these players were comfortable with each other. They have chemistry.
Yeah.
That was something that the manager, Jonah, was able to look into and get that done immediately. And I really like that of Jonah. I feel like if you're able to sign two players immediately and have them in the MMR cap only by 100, that's a job well done.
I make jokes about the Landers all the time. This is a good roster. Like, this is a really solid roster. I think that they're going to do some damage this season. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen moving forward, but this is a good roster in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, they could be dangerous.
Too many good teams. Too many good
teams. That's right. And then next up we have Quantum.
Mm-hmm.
Quantum, obviously, with that trade that they just made with the Bobcats, now you have your captain, Mr. E, and then your starter, your boy Derp. And this is an interesting team to me.
It's a young team.
It's a really young team, obviously, both rookie. I guess Mr. E is not technically is he a rookie?
He's a rookie, yep.
He is a rookie, okay. So, that's right, he was in the draft.
He was in the original season 13 draft.
Yeah.
But the one we don't speak of.
The one, yeah, that's what it was.
More than maybe I needed to, because his Ev is like
Quantum,
I think he's a
I am
top like
I
six
am
or
high on
seven
Quantum.
player in the
I do
league, at
think
least
this. I am very high on Mystery. I think he's going to be an outstanding player for them.
MMR.
But they are 225 MMR underneath the cap, and so I mean, just looking at it on paper again, like looking at the numbers, this team does not stack up anywhere near
Yeah.
all these other teams.
Yeah, well, I think that this is a team that can grow again 3 months throughout the season. I think they've got a lot of time to be able to like expand upon their MMR to rank up higher. We've seen players go from like low MMR to like borderline SSL in one RLSA season. It's all about how much work you put in. So I think this is a very capable roster. It's a very solid duo. From what I can tell, just based on outsiders looking in, is it seems like that this is a pretty well approved duo that people think are going to be a pretty solid team. So I wouldn't be shocked if, just looking at, oh, they have 225 MMR left to on the cap. I don't think I would look at that number too closely. I think this is going to be a really solid team, could be competing for a playoff spot.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, now that we look at the Riot, they have again probably debatably a worse roster.
Yeah.
They have Gigan, who they just signed to 16. He's 1650 MMR, and then they also with the trade with the Fire, they were able to pick up KO as a starter. Obviously, they have some players that aren't signed yet, so they're still figuring out their whole situation. But again, 325 MMR under the cap, not ideal. Especially just, I feel like when you even look at the players,
Mm-hmm.
MMR stacked up to other people, this is just not a team that I have high confidence in. But maybe Isaac, their manager, sees something different that I don't.
Well, it's going to be tricky. They have Apple as one of their RFAs, and from what we know about Apple is he's going to be taking a extended absence for about 3 weeks. He's on a trip, so I hope he enjoys his vacation. Obviously, it's way better than playing for the RLSA, but if you're
Right.
looking at it from a Riot perspective, he's a 1600 and would probably be playing with Gigan and would be one of your starters, but to my knowledge, I think he's going to be placed on the UP list, unable to perform for an absence, and it's going to be Gigan and KO more than likely for the first 3 weeks of the season. So I think that this is, again, like you mentioned, it's a roster that's lower in that MMR count, but sort of the same situation as Quantum, where MMR doesn't tell the whole story every time. So we're going to have to wait and see on the Riot, but again, I think they're going to need to improve a lot to be a playoff team this season.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. And then again, same story here, kind of with the Stars. You have K Dogs, obviously reoccurring player, now just signed to the Stars again, and then
Yep.
you have their rookie Cup, both stated at 1550 MMR, and again, even worse than the Riot, they are now
Just say
400
lower.
MMR.
Worse is crazy.
What?
Just say lower. Come on.
I don't like the Stars though. Anyways, I
He
don't know
hates
why.
the
There's some
logo. I don't
random.
know why.
I actually do. I
Hater.
think it's the most basic logo of all time. I mean, come on, you're not the Dallas Cowboys, bro. You're not the Dallas
Chill,
Stars. Come
son.
on now. But anyways, again, just 400 more under the cap, not ideal, and their backup is 1325 MMR. So again, if he's put into the game, it's not looking, in my opinion, ideal for the Stars this season.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of time left. K Dogs is a veteran. He knows what to do. I feel like bringing in Cup, I think he's pretty talented. To my knowledge, I think in the JWRLCS, I think he came second. Like he was in the finals last season. Of course, I could be completely wrong. I think I heard it from him. So that's my source, ladies and gentlemen. But basically, my point is, I think these are two players that have experience in competitions and have made it far before. So I think these are two players that are capable. I think the more thing that's limiting them is going to be their technical skill, because yeah, I
Right.
mean 1550, that's not as high
It's
as
not
some
ideal.
other players. So,
Yeah.
but I think there's a lot of season left to go before it's even started. So
Yeah, absolutely. And last but not least, we have
the
the Volts,
Bolts.
and I am known to bash the Volts. I know I make fun of them a lot. Obviously, the newest franchise in the RLSA, but
It's
also
a
the
good
only
team.
team that's ever won 1-10, I think. So
1-10's
the
not
the
great.
Volt
Yeah.
the Volts are not notoriously known for being good, but
One season
again,
though. Come on.
one season. and in one off season, they were able to turn it around immediately. In my opinion, you're able to get the number one pick via draft lottery,
That's what
right? And then
happens
you
when you're
get.
bad, Chase. You get a high draft pick.
I know I'm a Browns fan, bro. I'm aware. I'm aware. Um, program. They're able to pick up program, right? And so 1925, established SSL. He's a great player, and you're able to pair him up with a grinding who's a 1525. Put yourself 50 MMR under the cap.
It's
I mean,
great.
this is a team that's looking to compete, and I have the utmost hype for them. I think they're going to do absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they've got an unplaced player as well, and they got Forrest on the bench. So I think there's a lot of depth here as well, as far as the Volts are concerned. And yeah, like I said, this is program is sort of a Chase Monk situation. At least on paper, it is where it's like, okay, if he's out there on the field, there's a really good chance that they're going to win and be competitive. I even feel the same about Zach on the Landers. I think that he's got the potential to be a similar caliber player, but of course we need to go out there and see it on the pitch. It's easy to talk about it on paper. So yeah, I love this roster, but they've got to go out and execute.
That's right. Absolutely. And um, I mean, speaking about all these rosters and stuff, let's go ahead and get into our personal power rankings real
Yes,
quick.
sir.
I mean, do you want to start us off? Who do you have at number one? And we'll just kind of go down the list, I guess, in order, and we'll just kind of state a brief reason why we think that, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, well, okay, so obviously we're going to be ranking all 12 teams, and I think it should be said first things first. It is very, very difficult to try and look at rosters on paper and try and come up with like who the number one team
Right,
is.
right.
So obviously it's difficult, but I'm gonna try and go through and do it to the best of my ability. But these are gonna be wrong. They're gonna change throughout the season, of course. Um, but yeah, to start things off, I think for me it's the Eradicators. I have the Eradicators at one, and the reason why on paper this team should be the best team. It should be because it's the Monk effect. Simply enough, that's all there is to it. It's the Monk effect. Um, I think that with him out there on the pitch, there's not a single game series that they can't win. I don't think there's a
Right.
single team out there that they're not capable of beating. So I could see the Eradicators tumble down the power rankings if Monk stops playing. If week 4 rolls around and he's suddenly gone, then it's different. But
I'm on number one slot. I went a different way. Veterans, they work together. They were planning on teaming up even before the season started, right? This is the roster that they both wanted, and they're just they're insanely talented. They have the chemistry, and I feel like if you're the Bobcats, you're just in a solid place, right? The consistency is there, the chemistry is there, and I mean that's all that really needs to be said. That they fit barely in the MMR cap, so
mm-hmm.
they're almost maxed out. I mean, this is about the best you can get, and so I just think on paper and just how they execute on the field, I'm almost expecting the Bobcats just to be number one.
Yeah,
But
respectable. Yeah, I
yeah.
respect it.
Shout out you, bro. You did your job well. And then I guess we'll kind of do it in a snake way. So I guess my number two, I have the Volt. I am very high on the Volts. I think, I mean, obviously, I've played a little bit of program. I understand the way he plays, and I think he's going to be an outstanding player. And then also pairing him with a solid, established GC. I mean, that's what a player like program
Mm-hmm.
needs, right? He needs a player that knows what they're doing to a good extent and is able to make some plays on his own if needed, and also just again trying not to override program, right? You still need to
Yep.
be that support player because you're obviously not as good. But at the end of the day, grinding, I feel like he knows his role, and I feel like he's going to do well. And especially with the help of program being as good as he is, I think this Volts team is just looking unreal.
I respect that. Yeah, for me at 2, I have Fire. It's the Chase effect. I mean, simply put, I think he's going to be one of the better players this season, MVP, one of the best odds. So to me, the way I look at it as I need to see a duo prove that they're better than these individual rosters before I'm going to put them ahead. So like the Bobcats, for instance, strong roster, strong duo, but this season, what is the meta? Is the meta having one player significantly better, or is it having a strong duo? So I think it's just yet to be seen. So
I mean,
yeah.
it's a fair take. That's a fair take. I like the way the meta is that I mean, it looks like it could change. You never know. So, but who's your number third?
Yeah, my number 3 is the Bobcats,
Number three.
and I was just talking about them. I do think this is a super super strong roster. Um, I think it's a really strong duo, and so again, I think this is I have to draw the line in the sand somewhere. I think this is where it is, and I'll get into my reasoning more when I reveal my fourth team. But I have the Bobcats here at 3.
Nice. I mean, it's a solid pick, right? I like if you're going off based off your reasoning, that's a solid place to put the Bobcats. And then in mine three, this is where I have the Eradicators. Um, I think Monk. It again, yeah. It all depends on the swing and the miss. The Eradicators could tumble down the line, right? But at the same time, I think Monk, obviously outstanding player. He can beat any team out there, right? This is a team that's
Mm-hmm.
able to compete with everybody. But at the end of the day, I don't know how confident we really can be in season 6 MVP Echo. I mean, at the end of the day, right? This is a guy who actually has a life outside of the
Real.
RLSA. This is a guy who took so much time off the game and is now just back. In his peak. I mean, he was only a champ peak, right? I mean, this is
Yeah.
no shots at him at all. This is just what's on paper, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a player that definitely is nowhere near as he used to be. I mean, this is just it all depends on Echo to me. Obviously, we know what Monk can do, but it's the how much can Monk. I mean, coming from a player that has kind of that same storyline with Monk, right? Like I played with players that are not as good, and it does get to a point where you can't do everything on the pitch, and you
It's
need
true.
that valuable second option for help, and it just gets to a point, and I feel like obviously. I still have them at number 3, so that I still think that they can compete. It's a question for me.
Okay. I respect that. That makes sense. Yeah, for me at
Yeah.
4, I've got the Volts, and the reason why I draw the line in between the Fire and the Volts for having the one significantly better player than the other is because of the inexperience. I think that Program being a rookie, he's unproven. It's not that he's incapable; he's unproven. I think that this will potentially quickly change, and I could see, let's say, the Eradicators fall out a little bit. I could see the Volts jumping the Bobcats, potentially jumping the Fire, but I'm not upset with them there at 4. To me, this is a playoff team. I think there's a lot of playoff teams this season. There's going to be some really
Yeah.
good teams, but yeah, to me, I think this is a team that's going to be competing for a top 2 seed if everything comes together the way that it looks like it will.
It's a very valid take. Absolutely. I like that placing. For me at number 4, I have the Elite, and this is a team
Mm,
that
interesting.
surprisingly I am really high on. I
Okay.
again, like I mentioned, my one of my probably my favorite signing so far of the offseason under. I really like that guy's play style. He plays an absolutely great supporting role. We've seen it with Carson on the Amigos. We've seen him in the playoffs show up. We know what he's capable of, and the fact that he's able to support that What's G player. I mean, 1775 MMR, obviously very solid player. Obviously, the experience is where What's G needs to prove himself, but Under can obviously help with that with his experience. And so I feel like this elite team, if they're able to do what on paper they're said to do, this is a team that obviously can make the playoffs, but in my opinion can be a stronger team in the playoffs and
Mm,
potentially be a cup contender.
yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm gonna start basically saying the same things you did because I have the Elite at 5, so it's just a one spot difference for me. Um, I think I think this is
Same thing.
a well, yeah. I mean, basically, I'm trying not to just like steal your words, but essentially, I think What's G is a tremendous player. I think he's going to be really great this season, and then of course, Under really solid, experienced player. Um, I just think this is it's a talented roster, and I think it's also got some experience there with Under, and I'm personally just really high on What's G, the rookie. So that's like a personal thing for me. It was hard for me to trade down from 2 because he was going to be on my team, but
Right.
I think that's why the trade package was so expensive because of how good of a player he is. So That's why I have
Right.
him at 5.
Yeah. I mean, fair ranking, right? And then my number five, I have the Fire. Obviously,
Oh,
I mean, I'm not going to go too in depth in that. I just think, I'm betting on myself to to play good. Obviously,
chill.
I trust, but I'm not getting ahead of myself. I feel like I just think number five is a fair place to put myself without, like just trying to be looking at it from the outside,
It's
right?
too low in
Obviously,
my opinion. It's too
I mean,
low.
obviously, I'm gonna put myself at number one if like just like saying that, but I'm not gonna do that for. I'm trying to make this list like an outsider view. So obviously, um, just know that in my heart, I'm gonna try and be that number one. But in the
Okay,
fair
bro.
place, I think I see myself as number five, bro. All right, but stop
Fair
clowning me,
enough.
bro. You know.
No, 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 no. Chilling, chilling. No. No, I respect that.
No, but
I think so. Our top five is clearly in agreement here. Like, I think the top five teams, like, I think
do we
we
have
agree.
do we have the same five top teams?
Yeah, it's the same top five teams, just in a
Just
different
different order.
order. So I
Nice,
think,
solid.
I think to me, that's almost where it's borderline with this next team, but I almost draw the line there, as these are our elite cup contending teams that I think these five teams could win the cup. I mean, that's at least where I think it is. But I think my next team here, the Landers at 6, I think this is a team that could push themselves into that conversation, and it's because of one man. It's because of Zach. I think I'm pretty high on Zach. I think he's going to do really good things this season. So to me, the way I look
Fair
at
enough.
it is this is a team that has a high MMR number, and they also have a really good starting player and starting roster, honestly, just entirely. So to me, I'm high on the Landers, mostly because I really like Zach. I think Psycho's pretty capable, and then Trizzy's a decent backup, but I think this Landers team is built pretty well, and I think that they're a top 6 team right now in my mind.
It's a valid take, honestly. I can't really say much about that. I mean, at my number six, I kind of went a different route. I went with the Amigos. I think, again, this is all just kind of based on the trust I have in Carson being able to build a good team, and obviously, that's not all just about Carson, right? But at the end of the day, you have solid pieces right now. You have 1700 Jaden, you have Caleb J 1625, and then you also have Pure Motives as a sub. So again, if anything happens, they have the depth to back them up. So I feel like that could potentially save them a series, right? A series win that could be big. But at the end of the day, I feel like Caleb J. He's in, he's a veteran. He's been here for about a season or two again, and he knows basically what the experience is like. And then obviously Jaden, a rookie, but a rookie that we saw perform well, really well, I guess you could say, in the rookie combine. So I think this
Mm-hmm.
Amigos team, they'll find it out. They'll figure. I should say they'll figure it out
Yeah.
within the season. I feel like as a duo that they'll be able to produce pretty well and find themselves in that sixth spot for me.
I respect that. That's good.
And then I mean, I guess I can mention also my number seven.
You going to 7?
Uh,
Okay.
we'll let's do seven.
Yeah.
I'll show you. I got Quantum, and now this is where I'm really high on Quantum. I think again on paper, they're not the highest MMR team, right? They're 225 under the cap, but I am really, really high on Mr. E. I think he is going to be a player that stands out for most. We saw him in the rookie combine; he played phenomenal. We've seen him around in the league for a little bit, so it's not like he's shy from,
Mm-hmm.
he's played the game, right? This guy knows what he's doing, and I don't know. I really like Mr. E here, and I think he's gonna bring Quantum to that seventh spot.
Okay. Yeah, I respect that. I got the Bandits at 7 personally. I think the Bandits, when I look at them, I think again we're at another 3,400 mark. We got two 1700s. This is more that duo versus carry conversation. So I have the Bandits behind the Landers. I could see that flopping eventually, but I think just from the skill alone, they have to be here at 7 on my board. So that's where I have it.
Fair enough. And then I guess kind of going into number eight for me, I guess I could say, I mean, it's the Bandits, right? So the only reason why I have them down a little bit further is just because, I mean, these are two young rookies, right? And at the end of the day, um, they, they could always figure it out, but at the same time, it's just big question marks. I mean, it just depends on how they play on the pitch. And for me, I think also with the depth question, like, if one of these players is able to or misses some time, what is the honor knight able to compete, right, with some of these players? And obviously, we're not just talking about the subs, right? But at the end of the day, I just think as an overall team, this team just has some question marks, and I could see
Mm-hmm.
the Bandits flying right up on my list. But at the same time, right
Okay.
now, as it stands, the question marks have me putting them at 8.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think for me, I have the Amigos at 8. I'm not nearly as high on the Amigos as you are, and that's solely just because of the roster that Carson's put together already. It's not that I don't have confidence in him, but I can see the roster he's put together, and I don't think it's as good as other rosters that he's put together before in the past. So, you know, I think I have some question marks there.
The
Um,
Monk and Frozen roster will always be talked about, bro. That
that
is
will
a
always be
crazy
talked about.
roster.
And I think a little bit he lucked his way into it, but I know how he operates. His due diligence on players is it's really top tier. So I do think that was like he genuinely built that roster and that was his team. So I give him credit for it, but I don't think I love his team that he's built this season nearly as much as you do. So that's why I have him down here. But I think they're still a solid team. They could easily jump up. It's not a question of that. So yeah, that's kind of my situation with them right now.
Fair enough. And then at number 9, I'm gonna say I'm not as high as you are on the Landers, but I have the Landers here at 9. And I think Zach, obviously, he's been in the league before under the name Geyser, and so we've seen a little bit out of him, and he's only improved, right, since the last 3 years
Yeah.
that the RLSA has not been active. But the only question mark I really have is, I guess, two is one, the depth, right? I mean, you draft Trizzy, he was 1425, so again, able to play with Zach, sure, but like again, 1425, it's not really cutting it that well, in this day and age of the
Mm-hmm.
RLSA, and so I mean, at the end of the day, just depends on, again, the real question mark for me is Psycho, right? That's their starter, that's the player that we're going to see more out of, and I don't know. I mean, again, it's just a big question mark, right? Psycho, a long time ago, like 3 years ago, he was in that 1100 range, and now he's 1550. So obviously progression has been there, but how
Mm-hmm.
much, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just my question mark for the Landers.
Yeah, I respect that. Yeah, I think it's good. I think that, in my opinion, why I have him higher is just I think the experience is just going to bring him through, and I think it's just going to carry all the way through. Um,
It's very fair.
yeah, I think for me, I have Quantum down here at this 9 spot, and I think the biggest reason is, again, it's a young roster, it's unproven, um, but I do really like Mr. E, and I like your boy Derb, but I think this is where a skill gap starts to form because they're 225 MMR below the cap, and that's just a byproduct of the team that's been built. I love the depth. You talk about depth. I think Otanta is a great backup, especially MMR wise. I think he's able to step in. I don't think the Quantum are going to lose that much of a step, but I think there's going to need to be a lot of proving from this Quantum team in order for me to believe that they can jump into that playoff conversation.
I mean, hey, that's a very valid reason, and that's what we've seen in these last 3 teams. It's just big question marks, especially because it's a young team, right? These are all rookies. We need to see what they're able to do. So, obviously, when we go over our power rankings, again, obviously, this might change. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
at my number 10, I think we can kind of breeze through the last 3 just because
Yep.
it's kind of the same reasoning. But I have the Riot at 10, and that's just simply because the MMR just does not stack up against the other teams. 1650 Gigan, and then 1525 KO. I mean, this is a team that you're looking that at the moment doesn't stand tall against other teams. I feel like, again, also the lack of experience. Gigan has a tiny bit, but at the end of the day, this Riot team, it just on paper does not look good.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it doesn't look good. I think just in comparison to the other teams, it's just a step behind. That's the way that I would word it personally. And I think that there are things left to do. Apple could come in and could make this a better team. Do they have the pieces to potentially make a push to the playoffs? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But it's going to need to take every single person on that team giving it their all, grinding, getting better, working harder than everyone else. But I think they can do it.
Absolutely, yeah. Um, so you have Riot at your 10, sorry.
Yeah, right at the 10. Yep.
Yep. And then at my 11, I have Stars. I think Stars. Kind of just again the same reasoning. All right, you look at the MMR, you look at the team on paper, 1550, 1550, and then the 1325 is your backup. The depth isn't there, in my opinion, and the starting roster is just not stacking up against a team that has a SSL on it, and then their second starter is the same MMR as
Yeah,
your first
definitely.
starter,
Yeah.
and so it's just obviously K Dog's all love to that dude. He is a veteran. He's a solid player. But at the end of the day, I feel like the Stars team just doesn't have um, the players in order to make a push.
Yeah, fair enough. I have the Stars in the same spot as you. It's basically for the same reasons as you as well. I think if I were to put it in a word, I don't know if they have the firepower to keep up with all the other teams. I think that's ultimately what it comes down to for me. I don't think that they have the necessary skill on the team right now to compete with like you said an SSL. Like if they're 1550 and the SSL is playing with a 1550, I mean, it's like that's not going to work out very well for them 9 times out of 10. I think they might win 1 game out of 10, but that's not a winning recipe. So, yeah, I think there's some work to be done with this Stars team.
Right. And looking at number 12, the defenders,
Mhm.
um, when you have zero MMR on your team, it's kind of
That's
hard
tough. That's
to
the hardest way to win. I'll be
That's the
honest.
hardest way to win. When there's open nets 24/7. No, but at the end of the day, I mean, obviously, just like to kind of give a baseline. I mean, we kind of know what the defenders are going to look like in the future, right? You have their RFA Janky, who they're most likely going to sign, and then also just anybody they pick up in free agency. Maybe we
Mhm.
see a big trade happen. It just
They need
depends on
that,
what the
dude.
defenders need to do. But as it stands at this very moment, they're not looking good. They have one RFA Janky, and then they need to find him, uh, you know, another starter. And at the end of the day, when you have no depth, you have
Yeah.
you have to trade away all your assets to maybe find a player. I mean, this is not looking too good for their defenders. So they stand at 12.
Yeah. Well, I see someone say defenders 1v2. I think that's kind of I think we could get some like rookie bots up in there for the defenders for the time being. No, but by the time week 1 rolls around, they will have a
Heater.
starting roster. But I have them at 12 obviously as well too. Um, I need to see some. It's not I need to see something better from them. I need to see something from them before I can put them
Right.
any higher than 12. They're the only team that haven't fielded a roster yet so far. So obviously we're
The
working with the
defenders
manager
have
on that.
signed Heater to a 2-season deal.
I'm
Heater,
dead.
the Merc is back. So yeah, I mean those are our power rankings. I feel like
Yep.
they're both fair from the way that we've thought. But I guess to wrap things up, let's just go brief over the week 1 predictions that we
Yep.
have. Kind of goes along with our power rankings, right? So, we go ahead
Yep.
and look at that first week 1 matchup there. Go ahead and get your thoughts on. We'll kind of just do one person for one game, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Fire and Amigos?
Yeah. So Fire and Amigos are going to be starting things off here. I think there's just a discrepancy in skill in the roster. That's just the way I look at it. So to me, I think if it's Fire versus the oh wait, that's not the first matchup we were supposed to, that's fine. Um
Is it not? It says Series 1, Week 1.
oh, you're right. Yeah, Fire Amigos.
12.
No, you're right. You're right.
Huh.
My fault. My fault. I got it wrong. But yeah,
You
um, yeah, I think that the Fire are just ultimately the better team, so I have them winning this one here. If it
Series
came
score?
down to it, yeah, I've got the Fire winning this one. I don't think the Amigos are a good enough team to compete with them as it stands right now. So I have the Fire taking that. I think if I had to give a series score, it's probably gonna be 4-1. That's probably what I would say. Maybe
4-1.
4-0.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, valid take. Sure. I'm happy with that.
I bet you
um,
are.
I guess moving on to the Elite and Bolts. This is a game that honestly, the starting out week 1, you see my two teams in the top 4 for me. I absolutely love this matchup, but I think at the end of the day, I think the Volts are going to be able to take it. I think it's going to be way closer though. I think just the fact that they have programmed the SSL and they also have Grinding, who's a GC, going up against again
Mm-hmm.
under who's experienced in Watch G, obviously. But I just think the slight edge of having program on your team is going to be able to get you that victory. and I think the Volts are going to take this one in 6. But I think it's going to
Oh,
be really
okay.
close games. I think it's going to be really
I
close
like it.
games, but I think the Volts will eventually just be able to catch on and take it in 6.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I have the Volts winning here too. I think in 6 is a great prediction. Honestly, I think this is a really good. These are two inexperienced teams. I think it's going to go in either 6 or 7 games. I'll go with you. I'll say 6 in 6 games.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yep.
um, I mean, defenders, I guess defenders and landers.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, just I mean, looking at it right away, I think once again it's hard to 2v1 or 2v0 a team, but I think even after a roster's put out there, barring a crazy trade, I think the Landers are heavy favorites in this game. So I take the Landers personally, but yeah, that's what I would do. I think it's a 4-0 right now as it stands, but let me know what you're thinking.
Depends on how Heater plays, low key. Heater can Heater can step up, maybe able to steal a couple boost pads from the landers. I think the defenders could maybe win, but no, yeah, it's a 4-0 at the moment. So
Yeah,
um, Stars and Bobcats, again, kind of the same story. Pretty brief. I think this is a 4-0 from the Bobcats.
4-0. Hmm.
I think it's a 4-0. I mean, you're stacking up against two 1750 players, right? You're looking at just an absolute dominant team. These players have chemistry together on the Bobcats. They wanted to play together even before the season started. And now you're looking at the Stars, who have that rookie, and they have K Dogs. Again, obviously, not a horrible roster, but I just don't think it stacks up against the Bobcats.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Because I have to agree with you there. I think it's the Bobcats. Obviously, it's my team, and I want to just make it clear. It's very difficult for me to pick my own team in a prediction because I feel like I'm gonna like curse them every time. So I would like to just say I do find it difficult to predict my own team, but I think that they're the
I'll
better
say it for you.
roster.
I'll say it for you.
Yeah,
I'll say it for you. It's 4-0.
I think it's the better
Okay.
roster. I'll give the Stars a game, just because it's week 1 and you got to feel each other out and pause. So I think I'm gonna say 4-1 for that one.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, good take. I think now we have Quantum Bandits. I think this is also probably the fairest matchup out of every one we've seen so far. I think this is gonna be the closest one.
Yeah.
I think this is a game for me personally. Even though I had Quantum higher than the Bandits, I still think the Quantum have to prove a little bit to me.
Mm.
Obviously, I am really high on Mr. E, but I mean it's week 1. Both of these teams are full of rookies. So, but at the end of the day, I think when they're full of rookies and it's the first week, I just
Who are you
think
taking?
I think the skill is gonna be higher for the Bandits, just MMR wise. So I'm gonna take the Bandits in 7 here.
Okay.
But I think again, as the season progresses, I think Quantum is going to move up the ranks for me, and they're going to continuously get better. So
Going
nothing
against
against
your
Quantum
power
right
rankings,
now,
man. You're doing
but
it.
Bandits 7-0 right now.
Going against your power rankings, dude. That's a bad start. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I've got the Bandits. I think it's Bandits in 5 personally here. Yeah, I think the Bandits are just the better team.
And 5 is crazy.
Yeah, and 5.
I mean, I guess fair enough. And then
Argue with the wall, bro.
last matchup, we have the Eradicators and Riot. This is 4-0 Eradicators, all because of Echo.
All because of Echo, the guy you were just saying you were questioning him. It's now suddenly 4-0 in his favor. No, yeah, I think.
No, we didn't say that.
Oh, for sure. I think.
Why would I ever question Echo?
Well, I don't know. That's my question. Yeah, so I think obviously it's the Eradicators. I think it's probably going to be a 4-0. This is assuming Monk plays, by the way. And unfortunately, we all agree on our picks, Chase. So this is a bad start. We're not going to have any variance to our record. But yeah.
Tough.
I think you swapped your Quantum Bandits pick because I think at first you picked Quantum. So because when we put it in at first, I was like, oh, you do have one different than me. But yeah, that's it.
No. I have Bandits in 7. I think Quantum just need 1 week to prove it to me, But anyways, yeah, I think that's kind of a wrap up on the week 1 predictions. Anything else you'd like to add, Ashton?
I don't think so, man. I think that's about it. Look, I'm just excited to get this thing started, get the RLSA going again. Yeah, I'm excited to see these teams play, dude.
It's shaping up to be a fantastic season, and it's so close, right? We're literally a week away, So well, hopefully we'll see most players probably are tuning in watching. So we'll see you guys out on the pitch. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Absolutely great season.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of it for what we've had for the RLSA Today preseason episode. Thank you, Ashton, for joining me today.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And look forward to more episodes coming up in the future. You'll see them here and there. So whenever you see one, make sure you tune in, or if not, watch it later, because obviously we give you the inside scoop on what's going on in the RLSA.
Son.
No, but just make sure you tune in here whenever you want some RLSA news or whatever. If you miss some notifications, we'll always be clearing it up here in this podcast. So
Yep.
I believe that's all we had for RLSA today, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we hope